Hello, welcome to From the Hill. I'm State Representative Jim Arciero. This is the show that I have adapted to a Zoom program, which started about 10 weeks ago. Each and every week, we are showcasing individuals in the field that are fighting this invisible enemy, the COVID-19 pandemic, institutions of higher learning, as well as regional schools and police and first responders have come on the show, of late to talk a little bit about their perspective. So I thought today I would have President Mabry from Middlesex Community College and his team that I've had such a wonderful relationship with over the years to talk a little bit about your perspective on things and how you've adapted so quickly and had to figure out a way to make sure that there was a bridge to finishing up the semester. So President Mabry, I really appreciate you coming on, and how are you?
I'm great. Thanks, Representative Arciero. It's always great to talk with you, and you've always been such a great supporter of higher ed. We really appreciate all the work you do down in Boston for us, and also how you represent us out in such a positive way out in the community. It's always great to have partners like that who work with us, especially in really difficult times like this. I think, as everybody knows, this is a totally unprecedented situation. We're all faced with new challenges every day. But this spring, in March in particular, when we really had to move our entire operation online in a very brief period of time, I think you saw the college really at its best during that point. And I just want to highlight a few things that allowed us to move quickly off campus into remote learning and remote work. One is, first of all, we have been engaged in online teaching for a long time at the college. And this goes back really to the last century, so that we've been teaching since the late 1990s online. And that means that we have a fairly deep bench of faculty members who know how to teach well online and support staff who really help everybody. We also have really paid attention over the last few years to building up our technological systems so that we have really strong learning management system, and we have a lot of ways to work remotely that were in place before we ever had to fully utilize them. And I would say two other things. You found that we really work well as a team, that everybody pulled together. People helped each other. Our faculty helped each other get their programs online. Administrators helped each other figure out how to set up home offices, what they would need. Our IT support services were outstanding through all of this. And you get this when you have a group that's really dedicated to meeting their mission. And everybody at the college just did whatever they had to do. And I'm very proud of the job that everybody did at the college and how we have continued to serve our students and our communities throughout this whole unprecedented situation.
Mr. President, how many, on both campuses, the Bedford and the Lowell campus, what is the total enrollment population?
So we serve about 4,000 students on each campus. So there's very similar numbers between the two campuses. So, close to 8,000 students in a given spring semester.
Now, did you find any sort of, let's say, each campus has their own little idiosyncrasies. Did you find any of the challenges differ at all in the campuses in terms of access to technology, in terms of, finishing the semester, et cetera, or was it pretty much the same?
It was fairly similar across both campuses. So some of the things we did, like making Chromebooks available to our students, handing out computers, distributing computers to our faculty and staff. We centralized that in our Lowell office only because that's where we have our main IT setup is in Lowell. And we not only could then, through our public safety office, safely distribute things like this to students, faculty, and staff, but also we used our transportation system, our vans, to deliver some of these where necessary. Where students, faculty, or staff could not get to campus themselves, our van drivers, with masks and gloves, would drop these computers off at the front door. So we made a lot of adjustments as we went on, but not a huge difference between the two campuses, Jim.
Now, I've been, since we've had, the government sort of closing and the state of emergency, I've tried to provide my constituents and people that watch this show on social media with, additional resources and perspectives. And we're only as good as our team, and you have a wonderful team. And I really appreciate your whole squad coming out today. And we're going to hear a little bit from each member. It is only 25 minutes. We certainly on each one of these subjects could talk a long time, but we're going to kind of go through a rapid delivery. And I have Middlesex Community College's Provost here, Phil Sisson. Sisson, did I pronounce that correct, sir? Okay, awesome. Yeah, no, I know. Look, I'm Arciero. It's either Arciero,
I like it.
Arciero. I just go with it these days.
My ancestors thank you for that inflection. It's great. It's great.
Well, your perspective, as provost, you're dealing with so many different issues, at once, and trying to make sure that this sort of remote transition is moves forward seamlessly. And take me a little bit through that, how you sort of move things online so quickly and, communicated that message with, the whole community as a whole.
Sure, Jim. I think what the president said is so important is that the college was one of the first colleges in the state that actually developed an online learning platform decades ago. And so we have a long and rich history of people being very involved in quality education. We follow a standard that's called Quality Matters that identifies an opportunity for us to review every one of those sections to make sure the students are getting a top-notch online education. And in fact, the college has received a number of awards for its online education. And not only that, our individual faculty have received awards about the quality of what they've done. So not every single one of our full and part-time faculty have been engaged with online learning, but we had a significant number of folks who really had some fluency in the systems that we use. We have about 120 full-time faculty and then over 300 part-time faculty that had to make this conversion over the course of the spring. And what we did as a team is we met very early in March when we started to see the direction of COVID-19 and what was happening, and allowed us to really extend our spring break for a week, which gave us a chance to really get many of our faculty who are not as fluent in some of the technology tools that would allow video conferencing. So a lot of the remote learning that happened were classes that always happened face-to-face, but the faculty had an opportunity to use Blackboard, Collaborate, or Zoom, much like we're using, to video conference with their students and hold their classes as they normally would, and then use all sorts of other technology to make sure that they were able to receive assignments. Our biggest challenges were obviously in the lab science area. We do a lot as a community college of hands-on learning, so a lot of adaptation for our health programs and simulation, a lot of spirited sort of debates in the sciences about how best to meet lab requirements. But we had about 1,200 courses that we were offering for the spring. About 1,000 of those needed to be converted during this time. So we had a 2-week period of time to get as many of our faculty up to stuff. We have a really strong instructional development area. So we had already in place a number of workshops on a regular basis for faculty to really increase their skills. So we just ramped that up in those 2 weeks and tried to give as much support to individual faculty as we could. And like anything at Middlesex, the faculty who were more fluent in this work jumped right into the fold and helped to volunteer to mentor other faculty to be able to make those conversions, so that we were able to successfully lose absolutely no courses this spring to get students over the finish line, both in terms of those who were graduating and those who are advancing in their programs. So we're very fortunate that we had really talented faculty who were willing to put the extra work in to make this happen.
Now, Phil, do you foresee a lot of professional development put aside for upcoming semesters for professors, adjunct professors to really get up to speed with online learning? It certainly is a
Yeah.
skill. It's something we can just learn quickly. I know some folks have a little more, professors rather have, a little bit more training in it, but others don't.
Yeah, I think this is, again, it's all about the quality piece, Jim. So for us, we've always provided that kind of professional development to our faculty. We've moved a lot of our online training is all completely online with actual support from live human beings. And we found that then faculty can go through on their own pace to identify how they meet the quality standards that we're asking of them. And those courses get reviewed. And so as faculty in real time asked us for specific assistance, we were able to create professional development to help those faculty as we went through the crisis and throughout the remainder of the semester. In fact, we've geared up to do a tremendous amount of that in the summer. We have well over 60 faculty that are currently in the process of developing courses for our summer, which our summer session actually just started today. So we are in the process of that. And we're also planning exclusively to continue professional development for all faculty this fall. We're going to find that about 90 to 95% of our courses for this fall will be completely online or hybrid or in some kind of synchronous format that will allow the kind of transition that we had this spring. But we've given faculty about 3 months to really prepare for that. And so we've provided all the professional development over the next few months to be able to make sure they can do this as well as we expect of them.
Thank you. In the spirit of that conversation, may I ask Pam Flaherty, who is the Dean of Students at MCC, a little bit about sort of the challenges you might have faced, completing this semester for students?
Thanks, Jim. It's a really good question because, as you know, probably yourself, we had to all figure out how to use Zoom. And how to use our Blackboard platform. Our faculty knew how to use it.
Send me the invitation, Pam. I need someone to send me an invitation. You think I'm going to run this? It's crazy.
Yes. So one of the first things we did right out of the gate was make sure that all of our staff knew how to use the technology. And so we kind of, right from there, just, put into sixth gear and started to figure out what our student needs were. We got an active list of students who were registered. We did targeted outreach to over 7,000 students just to sort of touch base and say, hey, we're going remote and, where are you? What's going on? We did everything we possibly could close to sending smoke signals. We did, emails, texts, social media, every way that we could possibly outreach to our students. We attempted to do that because we knew that we were making a significant change. And so with that, we found that one of the biggest things was that we wanted to be able to provide technology for anybody that didn't have it. So our IT folks went immediately into making sure we secured some Chromebooks. We were able to get Chromebooks into the hands of our students. We were able to get hotspots into the hands of our students. And that was probably the biggest piece to breaking down the barrier. And then once we sort of figured out the technology piece, we started to go into what we do in student affairs is figure out how we're going to support the student. So we really started to do some outreach. We started to get ourselves pretty much as much remote as we could. We started to enhance our web pages. We started to make sure that we were providing any kind of way to outreach to the student and to work with the student, whether it was through increasing our e-tutoring. We actually have about 100 students who work for us through our tutoring center. There are supplemental instructors and our Blackboard ambassadors. We got them up and running. We got them comfortable with our Blackboard platform and our Zoom, and they started to jump out, help our students, help our faculty, and help our staff. So they really had the opportunity to sort of jump in. We did some buddying systems. We had opportunities for, tutoring and support. And then we really realized we needed to get to that next level of support, which is like our counseling and making sure our students were having all of their needs met. So we tried to figure out, we kept our food pantries open, we kept our essential services open so that students had a place to really connect with somebody in case there were other crises going on. And you can imagine the number of crises that students were facing as people started to be laid off, people started to not have income. So we really started to try and do a holistic approach to supporting our students as much as possible. Then we really started to kind of get to the next phase, which was for those students who were pretty comfortable, how do we get them re-engaged? And so we started to open up some of our centers, our veteran center, our multicultural center, and we did all this virtually. So that we have an Anapeasy Center, which is our Asian serving grant. And so our students were able to find a place where they could come on campus and be supported and be networked and feel like they were part of a team. And then we went into the next phase, which was really like our clubs and organizations, and really trying to provide a place for some of our clubs to get together and meet in some of our organizations and really support those students at that next level. And that was probably one of the ones that I kind of thought we were really never going to get to. And all of a sudden I look across my Zooms and staff are out there. They're bringing speakers in. They're doing all these things. I'm like, wait a minute, how did you guys find time to do this? It was pretty cool.
Now, did it go better than you thought it was going to go? Pam, did it actually, from just talking to you guys, it seems like you guys were prepared for this.
I'd love to say that we were.
I know none of us were, but you guys, it's pretty seamless.
I think we had a good foundation. I think, I'll be honest with you, I think it was that Middlesex had always been sort of on the forefront of online learning. And so we had a lot of people to rely on. Our dean in one of our academic areas is pretty seasoned in it. And so I think we had resources internally where we could just go, okay, what do we do next? How do we do this? How do we open this up? And so it wasn't like there was a lot of knowledge on campus, and we have a lot of support, professional development support out of Phil has had some folks that he's fostered through the time, and we have an instructional design person who really jumped on and took the lead in the academic area. So we were lucky that we had some expertise on campus.
Well, thank you. Now I'm moving to one of my old friends here as well, Judy Burke. She is the executive director of institutional advancement at the college. And I guess I said economic development because we've done, certainly done a lot of economic development issues over the years in my district and in the region. And some of the things that you foster are, community education programs and corporate education programs. Judy, how have those sort of adapted or changed during this period of time?
Thanks a lot, Jim. I'm really grateful to be here today with you and with the team. Like everything, it was a challenge. I mean, a lot of our employer partners were struggling with the same things that we were as a team. So as we were working through our issues, our employer partners were working through their issues, and we work as a team with our employer partners. So once we are involved, we become, sort of embedded with them. And so, some of the things that we were grappling with, some of our employer partners had workforce training fund grants that had end dates that weren't going to be extended. So how do we get the training accomplished that needed to be done in the time frame with their employees, their incumbent workers that are, at home working? So we really quickly shifted gears in both working with employers and working in the non-credit area. We mirrored a lot of what was happening on the credit side of the house as far as going remote. A lot of our training, as you know, in the non-credit area is professional development oriented. So our instructors are pretty entrepreneurial, pretty sharp. So they were able to work with us, and I would say the majority of our classes were able to continue to run, and we were able to keep the trains moving. And for employer partners like Juniper Networks, that's in your district in Westford, wonderful group. They're a wonderful team, and they didn't want to miss a beat. They wanted to keep going. So we worked with our instructors. We worked with Marcy Barnes at Juniper, who oversees this effort, and really just kept going, but in a Zoom or their platform. It wasn't Zoom, but it was a Zoom-like program, and it's worked out beautifully. Same thing at CTI, Community Teamwork. Their folks do such amazing work, and they wanted to keep going as well. And a lot of their incumbent workers were working from home, and they needed to keep the trains rolling. And this was a nice opportunity for them to kind of take a step back and learn some new things. And in our the consultants that we work with are really savvy. So a number of them had to get up to speed really quickly on these learning platforms, but they did. And again, what I saw was a real can-do attitude all the way across. I was seeing it with our own team on campus, but then I was seeing it in our employer partners, and it's really a model for what's happening. The good stuff that's happening.
Yeah, no, I appreciate all of your efforts and your work over the years. We've had a great relationship. I know that's going to continue with this wonderful team we have here. We're rapidly closing on, I can't believe the show goes so fast. 4 to 5 minutes. I know Patty will say 4, but I'll say 5. And I'm coming down to another one of my old friends here, the Executive Director of Public Affairs, Pat Cook, my brother in pop culture. I certainly can never reach the plateau of Marvel comic collecting as Pat is, but I try to hold on a little bit to his coattails. Pat, how are you?
Good, great. I get worried when you say old friend. I don't know what the old part of it means, but I apologize for the
go way back.
I was going to go with an Avengers hat for you today, but my COVID quarantine haircut is still coming back in. I don't know if Bridget did yours, but my wife did a very good job at home.
I didn't go the route of the big beards, Duck Dynasty things that everybody else is doing.
I tried that too. That got a little irritating. Yeah. We, there's just so much happening that you've heard about from the different areas here, and there are just a number of different departments that are continuing to try to move things behind the scenes. The whole marketing team at the college has been working overtime throughout this whole session to make sure that we're putting the stories out there as much as possible about the good news that's been happening. We've been trying to spotlight individuals as much as possible, and working with Judy and her team, we've been starting to do a lot of spotlight stories on alumni and some of the folks, especially the ones that are working in some of the hospitals around that have been able to step up during these times. But one of the other things that we've been working with to put out there, working with both Pam and Judy and President Mabry, is there was, during the height of this crisis, we created a new emergency fund to support our students on a number of fronts. And we put the ask out there, and the day that the campaign was advertised, literally the very first day, we saw some strong results in it with people looking to support the students. So, again, working with Pam, the folks in financial aid, and Judy's advancement team, we've been able to raise some significant money to help students with emergency funds for whatever they're going to be needing to help get them through these times. So, the marketing efforts that are happening are going in so many different directions. They're kind of all parallel tracks, but they've been yielding some great results from a community that's looking to support students at their time of need. And now the thing that we're queuing up for here is, we just had 3 hours of Zoom meetings about it this morning, is that we've got to be making a plan here on what June's going to look like, what July's going to look like, what August is going to look like, and September and beyond, for our students, our faculty, and our staff on what types of campus they're going to be coming back to at some point, and what the resumption of any kinds of services, to make sure that we do it, as President Mabry has said, at every one of these conversations, with an eye on safety for looking out for everybody that's that steps foot on our campuses.
Well, Pat, thank you. It's such a quick show. Like I said, we could have done the 40 minutes where they throw you off for the free Zoom, or I guess a little bit longer. But I hope this group could come back again for, we could even have a more, narrowed conversation about specific programs you guys do there, which is certainly a model for not only Massachusetts, but for New England and to the country. The work that you've done and continue to do there is inspiration to so many of us. So President Mabry, thank you so much for putting together your team today to give a little bit of an update on some of the things that Middlesex Community College is doing during the pandemic, and how you've really been a model for everyone else. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jim. And as you can see, have a great team, and we're glad we could share this with you and your constituents. So thanks again.
Well, thank you. And again, it's been thanks to everybody there. I really appreciate it. I couldn't ask each individual person, but I want to say I hope everyone's family is safe and healthy, and everyone is doing well. Give me a thumbs up so you don't have to shoot everybody saying thank you. And everybody's great here too. So thank you so much. I look forward to our next program each and every week, talking to stakeholders in the field dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic, and adapting and improving and helping students is something that Middlesex has been a great model for. So I thank you for tuning in, and everybody at home, stay healthy and safe.